Let's all do something good today.
Hey y'all, welcome to Dad Does Dinner. I'm Chase, and today we're going to be boiling some crawfish. It's a hot one out today, close to 90 degrees, about 85% humidity, but that's just perfect crawfish boiling weather. I'd like to give a special shout out to Caleb's Crawfish and Seafood. Caleb's contribution to the coronavirus epidemic is to sell his crawfish for about half the price that we can get it at our regular places right now. So right now I picked up 30 pounds of crawfish for $1.49 a pound. So I can just fit 30 pounds of crawfish into this basket, which is just fine. And I'm gonna start the cleaning process. See, crawfish, they spend a lot of time in the swamps, they're covered in mud, and you want clean crawfish when you go to eat them. So this is just the first rinse we're gonna give them. Easy way to do it. So after about 5 minutes of this, I'm gonna put them in the cooler where the real cleaning happens. I got my crawfish in the cooler, and I'm gonna fill this just till the water's above the crawfish. Some of you old school crawfish boilers might be thinking right now, where's the salt? See, there's a myth that if you put salt on the crawfish while they're in the water right now, they'll purge themselves and clear their intestinal tract. That is just a myth. So I can imagine that myth got started something like this. Boudreaux and Thibodeau sitting there getting their crawfish ready for a boil. They got their crawfish in a tub of water, and Boudreaux says to Thibodeau, "Thibodeau, what do you think if we would pour salt in the water and season the crawfish from the inside out?" Both Boudreaux and Thibodeau speak with really bad Cajun accents. Boudreaux says, "That's a really good idea. Hold my beer." So they pour the salt in with the crawfish. They notice immediately that the crawfish starts thrashing around. And the more they thrash around, the muddier that water gets. And lo and behold, their crawfish get cleaner. So quite a bit of research has actually been done on this. If you head over to crawfish.com, you can read it yourself. So they thought about this idea of purging the crawfish. And so they tried it. They had a controlled sample that they did nothing with. They had another sample in which they had water and crawfish. And another sample in which they just rinsed the crawfish in regular water. They did another sample of crawfish in aerated water. What they found was there was no difference between the crawfish in the salt water versus crawfish in the regular fresh water. What they did find was there was a 5% greater dead loss in the bin with the salt water. So basically when you're pouring salt onto your crawfish, you're poisoning them, and that reaction they make of flipping around is them reacting to the poison that you just put on them. Now if you truly want to purge your crawfish, this is where the aerated tank comes in. Have an aerated tank of water that your crawfish go in, and basically they fast for 24 to 48 hours. You got to have oxygen-rich water or the crawfish are going to die. Well, after 24 to 48 hours, they did find that these crawfish were clean from the inside out. So if you got a live well set up, you can pull off something like that, go for it. So you notice I've been stirring it here, trying to move these crawfish around, knocking mud off. I can already see a couple of dead ones. You just want to get rid of those. Try not to boil your dead crawfish. And now that water's pretty brown, so I'm going to drain it. I'm going to repeat that step again, and I'm going to keep doing it until that water runs clear. This will give me clean crawfish. All right, we're on round 2 of this process. Definitely getting cleaner, and these are definitely some dirty bugs. You know, people have been eating crawfish for thousands of years. In fact, in the 1800s, they were even used as currency for trade. This is round 3. We're definitely seeing a difference in this water now. You know, if you've hung around me for more than 10 minutes, you know I'm chock full of aches and pains. My wife is a Young Living distributor. So naturally, during this time, we've been diffusing a whole bunch of antivirals. My kids are always saying, "Keep that voodoo away from me." But they got essential oils for everything from your skin to aches, pains. Well, they finally came out with a CBD oil. And so we just got in some of the CBD oil infused balm. I am happy to report that it is working wonders on my neck and shoulder. The jury's still out on the needs. And calm down, all you weed heads. This is 100% THC free. All right, so this is round 4. And as you can see, that water's pretty clear. Now the first time I did this, just when I was adding the water into it, this water was completely muddy. But now it's pretty clear. And you can see these are some pretty good sized crawfish. We are definitely in the peak of the season. So I'm gonna drain it one more time. You can see that that water's pretty clear. Now we're gonna find out how much water we need for our crawfish. And I filled my basket full of crawfish, and now I'm just gonna cover them with water. Then I'm gonna remove the basket, and that's how much water I need. And I'm gonna put the crawfish back in the cooler. Crawfish are most comfortable at a temperature of 36 to 46 degrees, so that's why I keep them on ice until I'm ready to boil. Oh, I picked the wrong day to give the makeup and hair people a day off. Okay, we're gonna get our fire going. Always practice proper fire safety. Keep most of your flammable stuff out of the way of the flame unless you got a really good insurance policy. I only lost part of my eyebrows there. So you want to get your fire going. Now we're going to go ahead and get our spices in the water. I like Louisiana crawfish boil. I'm going to put about 3/4 of this bag in here. One bag of crawfish, 130-pound bag of crawfish, will give me about 1.5 pots. And I really think using a store-bought seasoning is just great for this. On my wildly popular steak night episode, I took some grief from one of the Q brothers about using a store-bought seasoning for my steak. Here's where I am on seasoning. If I find something I like, I will try to replicate it myself. And sometimes I make it better than what's available in the store, and sometimes it's not as good. And sometimes what's from the store is what my entire family likes best. And I got 2 boys that are kind of picky, so when they like something, I tend to stick with it. Now, the first time I did crawfish, I looked up all kinds of recipes, and I put together a spice blend that I thought I'd really like. And in a crawfish boil, there's anywhere from 15 to 30 different spices. So I put all these spices together, I did my crawfish, and it came out and it was just okay. Now, I only do crawfish once or twice a year. If I was doing this 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a year, where I could be testing my own seasoning blend over and over and settling on something I'd like, I would do that. I've tried a couple different brands. I like Louisiana brand the best. If some of my viewers out there have a really good crawfish seasoning recipe that they like, please send them to me. So I gotta give a shout out to Mike and the gang at One Arm Brew and Barbecue in San Angelo, Texas, home of the all-you-can-eat endless sausage platter. Thought for sure Mike was gonna make it for our crawfish boil this year. And thanks to the coronavirus, he's not here. Here at Dad Does Dinner, we really believe in giving back to the community, doing something good for one another. I want to share with you a couple of quick stories, I hope. In our neighborhood, we have a Neighbors Helping Neighbor Facebook page. And Sunday night, a post came out about a single mom with a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. She's recently unemployed due to the coronavirus, and she's set up to get unemployment, but she needed some bridge money to help her get groceries, gas, go to the laundromat, things like that. And so the post went out. Within several minutes, people committed to getting her all the stuff that she wanted. Within 24 hours, she had close to $400 for groceries, a full tank of gas. Somebody brought her a roll of quarters so she could do her laundry, and even offered to do her laundry for her. I love doing stuff like that. And just today, a really good friend of mine was driving by, saw somebody struggling, changing a flat tire, pulled over, helped him out, and got that done. It took him about 15 minutes, and that's all it took. And everybody benefited from it. So remember, do something good for someone else, especially right now during this crazy time. All right, let's go inside, take a break from the heat, and work on our vegetables. Now, always you will find in my crawfish boils potatoes, corn, onions, garlic, and lemons. Really anything that you like can go in. There's really no rules here. Now, crawfish boil is pretty salty. All these vegetables that you throw in are going to absorb some salt. but I really use these potatoes to control my salt level. Potatoes act like a salt sponge when they go in there. In most of the stores nowadays, at least around here in Louisiana, you have these great crawfish sacks of potatoes. You can just drop this whole sack in. Now I've removed some potatoes for the half batch that I'm gonna do. This was a 3-pound bag of onions, and I've removed about a pound of those for the second batch. I'm gonna put in 3 split lemons and 6 ears of corn that I cut in half. So to get the most flavor out of the garlic, you want to separate it down to these pods. You don't need to peel it, but this gives the water more surface area to permeate the garlic pod. Now I am going to leave some of these whole. I'm going to whip up a little smashed potato treat when I'm done, and I'll show you how to do that. And you'll want the whole clove of garlic to be able to do that with. All right, I got my corn all cleaned up, so now I'm going to load all of these vegetables into the bottom of the basket. For the lemons, I'm gonna squeeze the juice into the pot and then throw the rest of the lemon into the pot with the crawfish. So we have a full rolling boil here, and you wanna let these seasonings boil for about 5 minutes so you get the most out of those seasonings. So I'm gonna take my crawfish and I'm gonna load this up, and now this goes into the pot. All right, now I'm just gonna squeeze this juice, and I wanna bring this back to a boil again. Let's check our crawfish. Yeah, see, it's come right back to a boil. I'm gonna turn off the heat, and this is where the magic happens. You wanna let these sit for a minimum of 20 minutes and no longer than 40-45 minutes. The longer the crawfish sits, the more seasoned it gets. So we went ahead and gave these the full 45 minutes. They're done. All right, so here's a good starter platter. So I got my fire back on. I'm gonna add the rest of this bag of seasoning. We're gonna wait for it to boil and load it up again. So we're back to a boil, and the second batch is going in. If while you're eating crawfish and you run across one with a flat tail, don't eat it. That means it was dead before it hit the water, and of course you don't know how long it was dead. So in my bowl here, I've got about a tablespoon of butter. I take one of these potatoes, and then I take one of these garlic cloves that we boiled up. I take the garlic clove and I just give it a squeeze. So get as much garlic out of that as I can, and then I just smash it together. Make sure you try this. If you're new to eating crawfish is a real art. I don't quite have it mastered, but I do well enough. Take your crawfish, split it apart at the head and the tail. I like to suck the head. Inside of this head is full of seasoning and some of that boil and crawfish juice. You give it a little squeeze as you suck, and that's really a crawfish flavor bomb. Take the tail, I give it a little squeeze on top, and then peel that first ring of it off to loosen it up. Bring that to my mouth and squeeze slightly on the bottom of the tail to loosen it up, and it all pulls out in one crawfishy bite. There ain't nothing dainty about eating crawfish. So we did 45 minutes on the first soak, 40 minutes on this soak, and these have come out just perfect. The actual process of cooking crawfish is not that difficult. It is a little labor intensive, but if you got the right equipment, you can boil crawfish. And I know we really enjoy it around here. Remember, y'all, do something good for somebody else. We'll see you next time. Hello from the Waits family. We have so much to be grateful for this year, and we hope to see you in person real soon. Happy Easter! Hello from the Waits family. This year we are so grateful for the extra time that we have to spend together and the ability to do blah. That's what good.
I'm just joking.
Happy Easter from the Waits family. We have so much to be grateful for this year. Friends, family, hot crawfish.
Happy Easter!
Happy Easter! God,
Hello!
so bad.
Let's all do something good today.